welcome to another episode with Embracing Wisdom with Stacy. That's me, and today we are going to dive into navigating chronic pain, staying hopeful, staying present, facing uncertainty, and sort of a catch up on what's been going on with my hip replacement. I know many of you have listened to my podcast on what I learned from my hip replacement on my YouTube channel. I have an entire playlist dedicated to the saga of the hip replacement. We're coming up on 2 years since I had my hip replacement, and prior to that, I had had 3 surgeries on the same hip. Since the hip replacement, I had 2 revisions and I have one more attempt. But what did I learn through all of that? I learned that not everybody has a great outcome when it comes to a common everyday surgery that many people have great success with, but that's not everybody's experience. And so what I learned was to stop comparing, to eliminate the noise, to set sort of, I hate the word boundaries, but I had to sort of set my parameters of what I would allow into my life. I didn't want to hear about the 80-year-old who ran a marathon 2 weeks after his hip replacement. That didn't serve me. I didn't want to hear people blaming the surgeon or blaming the hospital or even blaming me that maybe I did something wrong. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot about people and human behavior. I learned a lot about myself. And thank goodness I am one of the most resilient people. I believe I'm very resilient, and I just tapped into that resiliency. But that doesn't mean that it came easy. And I spent a lot of time in grief, especially this last year. I had my 6th surgery the end of December of 2024. So all of 2025, I was attempting to get my life back. I knew it was never going to be what it was before my hip replacement, but I wanted my life back. I wanted to just have what I had, which was a booming adaptive yoga business. I had mobility. I could get on the floor easily. I could do very comfortable, easy yoga movements. I was strength training all the time. And all of that changed last year in 2025 when about springtime, I started to show signs that my hip was again causing me trouble and that the tissue again had ruptured. So I've lived an entire year with torn IT bands, torn muscles, torn joint capsule. All of that soft tissue is basically an explosion. And so I've had to learn how to change my everyday movements and change my habits, change what I'm doing, change how I'm doing it. And I get asked a lot of times, like, well, you look like you are feeling great. You look like you can do everything. You're taking walks every day. You're working. Well, what would be my alternative, right? What would be my alternative? And I have never been a person that freezes. We have this fight, flight, or freeze or fawn kind of way that we cope with stuff. And my way of coping is to come out swinging. And I did spend months last year, early spring, when my tissue tore again, and I realized I either have to live like this, and maybe I do, or I try one more time and see if my body will respond to a 7th attempt to make me feel less pain. So, in that process, um, my blood clots that had been developing in my arm from the hip replacement, because I had to have a PICC line because I had a revision, they thought it was infected. And now I'm facing yet another surgery to help my vein have more space so that it doesn't get compressed and continue to cause blood clots. How do I do it? I don't know. I don't have a choice. I didn't have a choice when I was a single mom and I had to put food on the table. I didn't have time to sit and worry about it or think about it or what if it. I just had to fight for it. I had to fight for my family. I had to fight for my job. I had to fight for everything. And so now here I am back again, 2026, facing 2 surgeries. And I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice in how I show up in the world. So I figure there's 2 ways that we look at life. We can sit with the horrible stuff and let it consume us, or we can go that away and say, okay, here's what I have in front of me. Here's what I'm facing, and let's move through it. Let's do our best. And so when I think about doing our best, I always go back to the four agreements. And if you haven't read the book, The Four Agreements, I think that it's a guidepost to living your best life. And the four agreements are don't take things personally. So that's a big one, right? Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. When we make assumptions, we always are wrong. Always. Always do your best. Show up every day in your best. And then the final one is be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word, which embodies truth. It embodies not exaggerating, not minimizing. It means keeping your word. Those four agreements have become the backbone of how I show up in the world. And I have friends that also follow the four agreements, and that's just who they are. They don't make assumptions, they don't take things personally. And so through this process of healing and having to let go of my business that was absolutely the most fulfilling thing I could have ever dreamed of doing, I had to adjust the dial. I just had to turn my life a little bit. And when I say adjust the dial, it means I don't have to reinvent myself. I just have to take the skill set that I have and turn it just a tiny bit and say, oh, there's a whole other world over here that I can use my skills in. I had to sit with the grief. I had to be okay with what I lost. I had to recognize I worked really hard for that and I had great success, but it's not the definition of me. The definition of me is to show up and to be the best I can be and to be impeccable with my word and to not make assumptions and to not take things personally. So here I am embarking on surgery to repair my vein. It's a big one. And then when that heals and I feel strong again, I'm going to address my hip. And so the reason why I chose the word presence for my intention for 2026 is because I want to be present with what I'm facing. I want to be present with my health, present with my habits. So today I typically go to a water aerobics class, which entails all the preparations for that. You're packing your gym bag, you're doing your change of clothes, make sure you have shampoo, getting in the cold water, doing the workout, taking a shower. It's a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot when you say it like that, but it's a lot. Like it's a big chunk of my morning, but I'm committed to it. But I asked myself today, is this going to serve me? Is this going to serve me to hustle there, hustle back, hustle here, hustle there? It's not going to serve me. So part of that learning process from my hip replacement is giving myself grace and not saying to myself, you have to do something. Instead, I say to myself, will this serve me? Will this be good for me? And so when I realized that racing to the pool, getting in ice cold water, dealing with the whole shower thing, racing back home to finish my day, morning, and then get on with my day, it didn't serve me. It didn't serve me. And that has come through the process of the hip replacement. Whereas before, I would just go, 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 go because I felt like I had to. I had to. If here's where the impeccable with your word can bite me. If I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, that's really, really hard for me. And so I've been more flexible in if I said I'm going to go to the pool and I realize it doesn't serve me to do that today, being okay with that. Because before, I would have felt guilty. I would have felt like I failed. I would have felt like I'm a loser. I don't keep my word to myself. And I've learned that it's more important to check in with my whole being and see what serves me. And what serves me today is not going to the pool. So I'm not going to the pool. And I think when we have a life-changing event, whether it's a major divorce, it's a job change, it's a surgery, it's an illness, a disease, a diagnosis, we have life-changing event. We can't do what we did before the event and think that it's going to work the same. We have to be willing to be in the moment now, that this is what is now. That was then, it was a season. My season of climbing mountains is gone. Bicycling hundreds of miles, gone. If I sat with that every day and sat with what I can't do and what my life isn't, I would be missing so much in my present day. And so when we have the life-changing event, we want to be the way it was before, and it won't be. It just won't be. That's life. We all have stuff that we have to work through. So, what I committed to last year was how can I find joy every day? Despite being in pain, despite being limited, despite my business crumbling in front of me, how can I find joy every day? And I've continued to bring that into 2026, but with intention. Not only am I seeking joy every day, I want to be present with the joy that I'm seeking and receiving and experiencing. So I think one of the biggest takeaways from my hip replacement and subsequent surgeries and my upcoming surgery is that life is always changing. And we have this amazing ability in us to adapt and to move and to be flexible. And I think about this like those steel rods that support concrete, those big, gnarly steel rods. They have no movement in them, they're not going anywhere. And we as human beings have to be able to move. We have to be able to bend, look around, see what the options are. We cannot live our life stagnant and stuck. And then I take that imagery and I go into a river. And I think how the water, there's all these obstacles in a river. There's boulders, there's twigs, there's reeds on the side, there's piles of mud, there's whatever. And so the water has to go down the river and it's got to go over the obstacles. It's got to go through them, around them, but the water keeps going. Now, if I was so rigid in it has to be the way it was, and I'm angry because my hip is not the way it was before my surgery and I should have never done it. I should have never done it. If I lived in that, I should have never done it. I'm going to miss my life. I'm going to miss the lessons that I've learned. I'm going to miss the grace and the goodness and the people who showed up for me. I would miss all of that if I was dwelling on the fact that I should have never done it. I did do it. I did. I went into the total hip replacement with hope that it would eliminate my pain that I had had from the 3 previous injuries, surgeries, repairs. It didn't work. I'm in more pain than I was before my surgery. I shouldn't have done it. I don't want to live in that space. I want to be like the river and go around the boulders and through the reeds and through the grass and over the stuff. I want to keep flowing in my life. I want to keep flowing. So that's what I learned. Life is inevitably going to challenge us. It's going to be hard. We're never going to be the way we were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, yesterday. Why would we want to be? Let's continue to grow and flow and take life's challenges as an opportunity to look at ourselves and say, okay, am I living the 4 agreements? Am I living impeccable with my word? Am I living without assuming things, without thinking the worst thing? Am I assuming the best in people? I don't know. That's how I live my life. I strive to. I try to. I fail. I fail every day. Talk about my word of the year as being presence. And I have a spool of thread that represents presence. And I'm weaving that presence into my tapestry of my life. I failed. Threads come out of the needle. It's a mess. Throw the needle back on the thread. Try again today. But that's the great thing about intentions is we just get to keep showing up with our intention. There's no outcome, there's no goal, there's no checkbox at the end when we hit our 20 pounds loss. We just show up as the intention. So take that with you if you're going through hip replacement or you're going through a major change or you just want to be your best self. Don't be that steel rod in life. Flow and move. Be grateful for what is. Be present in your daily life, your daily doings. And know that life will be hard. It's what we do with it when it's hard that makes the magic and makes our life incredibly good. And also to find gratitude even in the hard stuff. I'm grateful for the last 2 years that I've had to make adjustments, feel grief. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm not hustling as hard. I'm not working as much. I'm enjoying things. I'm creating joy every day. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I have lessened my standard that I put upon myself, that I have to do so much every day. And now I'm able to check in and say, I don't know if that's going to serve me today. I don't know if that's going to be the best for me. How amazing is that? That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the hip replacement. So take that and chew on it and let me know. Let me know if any of this resonates with you or makes sense to you, and we'll keep talking about it. We will keep talking about how we live our best life, how we show up, even when it's hard. Have a beautiful week. I will chat with you next week, and take care. And always remember, gratitude is where it's at. See ya.